Good evening and welcome to the Village Board meeting for the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, May 22. If you are watching live on Monday, May 22, we encourage you to call in if you have comments or questions. Our call-in number is 769-1677. All meetings are held here at Village Hall, 80 Wheeler Avenue, unless otherwise noticed, and our next scheduled meeting is Monday, June 12 at 8 p.m. with a work session at 7. So, a small raft of announcements to make. The first is a shout out to the folks who organized Pleasantville Day, which was a huge success this past Saturday. Peter Rogovan and Petro Zorgman, chief among them, but lots of other folks involved, including Andrew Layden and Marlene Knappe and Ben Sarabin. A whole bunch of folks helped on a great day. A shout out to the Pleasantville Chamber of Commerce, which as they have in the past 2 years, provided a generous contribution that supported part of the day. And shout out to all the folks who participated, all of the community organizations, the hospitals, the scouts, the volunteer organizations, churches, etc. It was a great day for Pleasantville and a success all the way around. So thank you to everyone on that front. We have a series of events coming up, as we always do at the end of May. Coming up a week from today, Monday the 29th, Memorial Day. We encourage everybody to join us for our Memorial Day ceremony, which begins at 10 a.m. on Monday at BRS at the World War I Monument. Parade marches down Bedford Road to Memorial Plaza, where we continue at the monument for World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Encourage everybody to join us, not only because it's a great piece of Americana, but also a great annual opportunity to be reminded of the sacrifice of so many folks who've left this village and did not come back, and Memorial Day is a day to recall that sacrifice. So I really do hope folks who always come, obviously always come, but folks who haven't thought of it in the past, we'd be really delighted to see you. Friday of next week, the 2nd of June, is the annual Fire Department Parade at 7 p.m. Another great Pleasantville event, so gear up for that. And as an aside, be reminded that parking in Memorial Plaza and along the parade route will not be allowed after, 5 o'clock, something like that, Patty?
I think it's
signs will be
earlier,
posted,
actually.
but every year we have a few cars that get trapped, or worse than that, get towed. So just beware. Friday, June 2, the village downtown gets taken over for the fire department parade. Good opportunity to mention that a week ago Saturday, I attended the annual inspection dinner for the Pleasantville Volunteer Fire Department. Another occasion to honor the folks who do such an incredible job, an entirely volunteer fire department serving the village of Pleasantville. So a shout out to Chief Esterio Scapino, the entire Board of Fire Commissioners led by Bruce Green. A great night, and one of those moments when I always feel I should go home and clean out the trunk, because they open up every door on the fire trucks and they're all spick and span inside. So congratulations to the fire department, and again, thanks for all you guys do on our behalf. Anybody who has not yet considered where they might want to be swimming this summer, shout out to the Pleasantville Pool. Enrollment is open now, and there are some great new improvements building on the improvements we've made in the last couple of years. This year the concession has been dramatically upgraded, and we have a full menu provided by a new concessionaire, the folks at Good to Go, who have recently moved here at Bedford Road in Pleasantville. So for the first time in anyone's recent memory, there will be a long list of things you could get, including paninis and all kinds of wraps, and iced coffee will be available for the first time. So headline news, iced coffee at the Pleasantville Pool. So at the same time, we're in the next several weeks going to be making some modifications to the seating area, extending the seating area a little bit, new tables, a new countertop that will separate the eating area from the pool deck, so that we'll be able to take down one of those fences, and you'll be able to sit and eat and look out at the activities of the pool, watch your kids, or just gaze at the goings on. So I think it's going to be a great new addition to the pool, and a reason in and of itself to go to the pool, even if you didn't have in mind swimming. So you can go to pleasantville-ny.gov and click into the rec department, sign up online. let's see here, make sure I haven't missed anything in my list here. The Pleasantville Recycling Committee has organized, as they always do, a sports equipment recycling venture which took place at Pleasantville Day. The week before this, they collected sports equipment down at the DPW yard, and at Pleasantville Day handed it out for free. So it's a great sort of a free cycle business. Congratulations and thanks to those guys for having done that now, I think, for perhaps the third and fourth year in a row. But I also want to point out that they have proposed a new village annual tradition, and that is a village-wide tag sale day. Relatively short notice for some of us, but the recycling committee is organizing a village-wide tag sale day on Saturday, June 3. You can sign up if you want to participate, and they will include you in an online list of tag sales that are going around the village of Pleasantville as a means of generating traffic. So Saturday, June 3 from 10 to 4. If you're interested in being a seller, you can sign up at pville.tagsale@gmail.com, and that will make you part of their online location map. So Saturday, June 3, pville.tagsale@gmail.com. You can also check pleasantvillerecycles.org. More information available there, not only about that, but all of the other good things those guys have been doing on our behalf. Farm market was closed this past weekend on behalf of Pleasantville Day, but will be back in force next Saturday, and in fact it rolls out their summer of full activities with music and kids activities and the full range of programming that people have come to love at the farm market. So congrats to all those guys on the launch of another great outdoor season. Anybody else have something they wanted to add to that list?
Yeah. Well, I did want to mention, I wanted to say thank you to Petra and Peter about Pleasantville Day, but also a thank you to our maintenance guys.
Yeah.
And also to our police, who were all out there in force. Greatly appreciated all their efforts, so I want to thank them. A few notes about Pleasantville Strong. Next Wednesday on May 31st at the Mount Pleasant Public Library, Pleasantville Strong is partnering with Mount Kisco Partners in prevention and Films on Purpose, and we have a showing of a film called Audrey and Daisy, which is about two young women who were sexually assaulted and come to find out that it was videotaped. We're going to have a panel discussion afterwards, and that's part of our Pleasantville Strong initiative. On June 3rd at the Recreation Center at 8:30 a.m., we'll be hosting a youth mental health first aid training class. It's an 8-hour class. It certifies you to triage a mental illness or crisis in a young adult. It's kind of like CPR for the brain. Also, we have a coalition meeting on the 7th.
On the 7th, you said?
Yes.
Where is that?
It's always at the high school.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else have any other announcements to make? Okay, so as we indicated on our agenda, we've set aside some time tonight to discuss the application that we received from the folks at Sunrise Senior Assisted Living for a proposed senior assisted living project on Bedford Road near Maple Hill at the Methodist Church site. So about a month ago, April 20, something like that, we received an application that we had anticipated was coming our way. And at the board meeting that followed that, the folks from Sunrise and their representatives gave a presentation of that project in a public setting that was recorded and is available on demand at pctv76.org. So anybody who missed that presentation and is interested in seeing it can catch it at pctv76.org and go through the whole presentation they made. There's a raft of materials they provided, and the five of us have spent the last several weeks looking over that material in order to digest all that was given to us. A very complete package with hundreds of pages of documents attached. So I know there are lots of people in the room who are in favor and lots opposed. My suggestion tonight is we won't deny anyone the right to speak if they want to, but my suggestion is that we proceed as follows. This night would be an occasion for the five of us to comment about our views based on what we've received and what we've looked through. My suggestion is that we withhold an extended discussion with all of you about your opinions on that subject until 2 weeks from now, giving you all an opportunity and giving the applicant an opportunity to consider what we have said, what the lay of the land looks like, and then return here in 2 weeks when there may or may not be a resolution for some action. That will be the judgment of the board as it develops. But on that occasion, I would suggest that we open up the mic and sit here as long as is necessary for anybody on any side of the issue to make their comments. Again, I certainly wouldn't deny anyone the opportunity to speak tonight if they feel the need, but my sense of tonight is that the most useful way forward here is for the 5 of us to indicate what our views are at this point, and then all of you can consider what all that may mean as it relates to your own view of the project. So with that, can I suggest we start at the end? How about Nicole?
Okay. So as you all know, I'm coming to this discussion later than the others on the board. I have, of course, however, been aware that this was likely to be something that we would be thinking about starting when I was running for election. So I have made a point to educate myself on the issue. When I was running for election, my position was that I couldn't state definitively how I stood until I had a proposal before me, but that I had certain reservations based on what I had seen of the benchmark proposal, on what I had noted walking around the property, and on the concerns that had been voiced to me by the residents of the neighborhood. Now that I have had time to review the Sunrise proposal and to further consider the ramifications of the development project, I can say that I do not support the project. In spite of improvements that have been made to the design of the building, I believe that a project on this scale is not a good fit, neither literally nor figuratively, for this location. And moreover, I believe that the benefit to the village of Pleasantville as a whole is not great enough to outweigh the negative impact that it would have on those living in close proximity to the property. So those are my general remarks, and I don't know how lengthy the discussion will be, but I can go into more detail if people would like. My conclusions, as may be suggested by my remarks, come less from the details of the project than the implications of the project as a whole.
You just want to go down?
Yeah, let's.
So I come at this with a little bit of a different position, having voted no on the benchmark proposal. I want to thank Sunrise for the professionalism they showed in presenting this to us. I was unwilling to reject Sunrise's idea of resurrecting this back then because I was interested in seeing what you would come forward with, and I felt that that was the fair way to approach this. Everybody should have a chance to present their ideas, and I wanted to see if what you presented would change my mind, really. I've also said from the very beginning, Jerry, you and I talked about this at the very first conversation we had, that because I was a no on benchmark, the hurdle for me to change my vote was higher than maybe somebody such as my colleague Nicole coming into this somewhat fresh. And that in order for me to do that, the value to this community, the one, not the world at large, but the one that elected us, the one that put us here, had to be spectacular in order for me to make that shift. As I think I characterized it to you, I needed to be able to stand from the firehouse roof and wave its flag. I've always had 2 fundamental concerns with this project, back even when I was sort of thrown into the mix with benchmark. And I have said these 2 things from the start as well. I am uncomfortable philosophically with changing the zoning of a residential neighborhood to characterize it as one would like into what could be defined or construed as a somewhat commercial use. It's a philosophical issue, really not limited to Sunrise per se or any applicant there. It's more of, can we do that? Is that a prudent thing to do in zoning philosophy, so to speak? And then secondly, as I alluded to just now, my concerns about the value of this project to this community being spectacular enough, as I put it to you, to be able to go to the neighbors on Maple Hill and say that the weight of this impact, whatever it may be, is going to land on you and it's worth it. So I've looked at the proposal as well. I went back and dug out my 3-foot wide binder from Benchmark, went through a bunch of things there. And I do give you credit where it's due, that you did try, I think, extremely hard to make this as palatable as possible, given what we had said regarding benchmark. In total, looking at all of it, and in the absence of that sort of wave from the firehouse roof feeling, at this point, I'm not inclined to change my mind. The trepidation I have about the philosophical problems of changing zoning on the neighborhood, again, absent that spectacular value, it's not going to be enough at this point for me to get there.
I was a yes voter when we did the vote, and I really don't like to keep bringing up the benchmark name because I think that this is a separate project, and we keep comparing it to the previous one. I am sort of philosophically concerned about not having the applicant and the people who don't know enough about this project not getting more information by cutting this off at this time. One of the things that tends to happen when you sit on a board is you hear the people who don't like something. And I'm looking in this room tonight and I see a lot of familiar faces that we saw for about 18 months. And now I see some new faces and I don't know what side, or which lane you're in. But I feel that I've always been in favor of this type of project. I'm not against it being in the area, and I still don't know enough, and I don't think that the people who maybe have interest in the assisted living have had a chance to hear what Sunrise wants to do and how that would impact my decision. I also am concerned about cutting something off too early for future developers. We need to be open for business. I believe the only way that we can preserve Pleasantville is to continue to build our commercial tax base, and the only way we're going to do that is by listening to petitions and bringing new businesses into Pleasantville. And by sort of shutting things down right now, it's not up to us to decide when Sunrise says when. It's up to them. And I'd like this to move forward. I'd like to get more information out to the public, and I'd like the people who think that this is the right thing to start speaking. Because I think in the last petition, they didn't. We really were overwhelmed with comments from folks who didn't think that this was the right project and heard very little from people who did. So I would say right now, I was in favor of the last project. I don't think it's the wrong location. I think there are things to be worked out. And I feel as if I have an open mind, which means that maybe something would come up that would change the way that I feel now. I don't feel ready to say it would be yes or no. I feel ready to hear more.
I had the privilege of touring one of the Sunrise properties down in Tuckahoe, and it was lovely. And I really don't have an issue with the concept of their product. In fact, I think it would be a great product to be here in the village, and for all the reasons that people tend to say, like, we all get older and we all have parents and our parents need to stay in the community, and I agree with that. But like Steve, I'm concerned about the idea of changing zoning in a residential zone to something different. And we all characterize it any which way we want, as commercial, or no, it's just residential, or it's just a larger residential. But what it's not is single family homes, which is what that site is zoned for now. And zoning is the way that a community decides it's going to organize itself and how it wants itself to grow and what it wants to be. And 40, 50 years ago, this board had a vision for the community and what it would be, and that part of the community was designated as single-family residential. And again, I'm going to agree with Steve because he and I have spoken about it and what we think is important. Although I really like this product and I would like to see it somewhere in this village, I'm looking at it from the perspective of it's not so much the benefit to this applicant or even to the church being able to sell this property, or even how much it's going to negatively impact the residents that are next door. I'm looking at it more from a global village point of view of what is this doing for us in the village in this location. I know that it's a good location for this company. They want to be there, and I know the reasons why. They've told us. It's visible, it's centrally located to a number of different communities. It's right for them. It may be wrong for the neighbors. The question I have in my mind is it right for the community as a whole? And at the end of the day, I really just don't see the spectacular value, as Steve said, to this community. And although I agree with Colleen, and I said this from the beginning, I really have to learn more. I want to see a petition. I wanted to see the petition because I wanted to know really what was being proposed. And in fact, the petition and the project that was proposed in the petition is a little bit different from even what was sketched out earlier. So the point is, sometimes when you see those early renditions of things, there's not really what's being proposed. I wanted to see really what was being proposed. And I'm glad you did. But having looked at it and examined the whole thing, I don't see the value of this project on this site to this community as a whole. That extreme value that would get me to the point of being able to say, I'm willing to change the zoning of this site, which impacts the expectation of neighbors in the area who bought a house in a residential zone and expected that property if it's ever developed, it's going to be residential, single-family residential. For me to do that to somebody, I need to feel like this has an extreme value for the village. And I'm just not feeling that. I'm not seeing it. And I think it's better, we talked about this too. Is it better to accept the petition and let them go through there's more money to be spent and time to be spent and professionals to bring in and bring all the data to us, when at the beginning of it I'm feeling like conceptually I don't think that this is the right project for this site for the village. So for that reason, I don't support accepting the petition. I don't want this applicant to waste any more money, to be perfectly honest. Why make you do that when I feel this strongly about it? After having seen the petition and examined it with a completely open mind, and I didn't participate in the prior one. I don't even care about the prior one. It has nothing to do with that. And by the way, just so everybody knows, nobody has spoken to me and called me, and I'm glad you didn't, and tried to weigh on me one way or the other. I really looked at it independently and what I think about the petition. So, no undue influence on me, that's for sure. It's just all me making up my own mind.
Thank you, Joe. So you've heard from the other four, and you all know my position on this. I voted no against the benchmark project, and I urgently, plaintively, repeatedly discouraged these folks from coming forward with this proposal. Not because I don't think Sunrise seems like a great outfit, because they do. Not because the use of assisted living in the village of Pleasantville wouldn't be a great thing, because it would be, but because I felt last time, and I feel this time, that it's the right project in the wrong place. I certainly commend the folks at Sunrise and their team for having modified this proposal from the one we saw the last time in a number of ways, depending on your viewpoint, net positive, net negative, whatever. It's 7 or 8 units smaller than what Benchmark had proposed. The access is now back on Maple Hill instead of its own driveway through. There's certainly a whole lot of things, as there are in any difficult decision, that are in the pro column and a whole lot of things in the con column. So I have been a very open book on this subject, and at the time that we last discussed this with the folks from Sunrise and the church, said you need to go into this assuming that I am a no vote, and I remain so. So having heard what you've heard now, 4 of the 5 members of the board are not optimistic about the progress you may make. So we'll have a decision to make on our side of the table about whether we accept the petition at all, or whether, as Colleen suggested, we ought to accept the petition and go through the process if in fact you folks, having heard what you've heard tonight, believe that that's in your interest. It isn't a cost-free venture for anybody to continue through that extended process, and so as we have always said, and I think applicants have felt the same way, if the answer is going to be no, the best thing for everybody is to get to know as soon as we can, so that folks don't end up spinning their wheels. What I suggested at the outset is that we not get into an extended discussion, although if there's something someone feels they need to say, I encourage them to do so. I do suggest that we have this on the agenda in 2 weeks when you all have had an opportunity to digest what you've heard tonight, at which point everybody will be in a better position to know how they feel about the circumstance as we stand right now. So, Patty, have you got all of the material up on the web for anyone who might want to dig through it?
I have it on Novus, but I could put it on, maybe under special projects or something.
So we need to get it all up on the web. It's over 100 megs worth of stuff, but...
It's on the web, like, it's there now, but it's on our agenda, it's on the agenda.
So can you
have to
describe how
click-
people get to
you
it?
have
You
to
click
click on
through our
Novus
agenda
first.
and then click into it?
I
Be
just
nice
don't know
if
where
we
to
could
go.
have a more direct way to get to it. So, as I say, we have a decision to make about how we want to proceed. And one of the options is not to accept the petition at all. I think all of you folks, pro, con, and certainly the applicant have some thinking to do about how you want to proceed and what you would like to encourage us to do. So, as reported, I'd like to withhold extended discussion on this until 2 weeks from now, but if there's something somebody would like to say, please do so.
Mr. Mayor, I just have a question.
Sure.
At the beginning, you said the next meeting was June 12th, which is 3 weeks. Would this meeting be on June 5th?
The meeting would be on June 12th.
Okay, so it's...
Sorry.
With the second
Yes,
and,
yes.
with the second and
You're-
fourth
you're right.
Mondays, there must be a fifth Monday. And
I reflexively say 2 weeks, but in this case, it's 3, so,
I just want to
yes.
thank you.
Right.
3 Mondays.
Okay, so I thank you all for coming. At the moment, you can see all the material at pleasantville-ny.gov if you click through the agenda for the meeting. But Patty, if we could get a direct button so people can look into it sooner,
You might have to put it on a Dropbox, maybe
right,
tonight.
that would be great. So,
Call me, I'll help you with that.
all right,
I think we should, can I add one last thing?
sure.
I mean, I believe, I don't want to prejudge this, but I believe the idea of having a public forum next meeting would happen regardless. Is that correct? Regardless of whatever is before us that meeting, we would still have a public session or a public opportunity for everybody to speak.
Sure.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to reiterate that
Right.
there will be a chance to get up here and say your piece.
And I think you have to understand, it's not technically a public hearing.
Right,
So
I didn't
there's
say
no
hearing.
such thing as a public hearing.
Right.
Whether to accept or not accept the
Right.
zoning.
As Joel rightly points out, it would be an occasion for us to welcome comment from anybody on this subject, and welcome comment from the applicant, obviously, then or before then, as you wish.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I thank you all for your attention. With that, we will, is there any public comment on any other subject? All right.
we move on to the exciting.
Okay.
It's an exciting meeting.
Now we're into the exciting part. To the resolutions.
Some are staying even.
How about Nicole, number 87?
Okay. Resolved that the pre-check register dated May 22nd, 2017 is hereby approved as listed below. For the fiscal year 2016-17 checks numbers 86342 and 86343 through 86462. This is making me wonder if I need new glasses. Okay. To the general fund, $135,798.92. To the water fund, $111,782.94. To the capital fund, $10,966. To the refuse fund, $6,548.88, for a total of $268,325.49.
Is there a second?
No,
Hold on.
there's-
Oh, hold it, I'm sorry, the new fiscal year,
Yes,
yes.
for the new fiscal year checks 86344 through 86349. To the general fund, $3,502.26.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions about the check register? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Steve, number 88.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts the following donations, from Geraldine and James Stevenson, $2,000 for improvements to the war monuments, thank you. Arbin Group LLC, $1,000 improvements to the Park Bridge, thank you. County Fabricators LLC, $1,000 also improvements to the Park Bridge, thank you as well. And William Morse $10 for Clinton Street Senior Center programs. And further resolved, thank you, Mr. Morse, and further resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts the following equipment donated by Linstar Engineering: Canon Image Prograph, an HP DesignJet 1050C, and 5 rolls of number 20 bond paper, 36 inches by 150 feet apiece.
Is there a second?
Second.
So
Thank you.
this is a happy, a happy
I mean,
resolution.
the 5, I love the
So,
Who is Linstar? I don't know who they are. I know these others. I mean, I don't know.
Linstar Engineering,
Yeah.
Gary Lynch, and
They operated on Manville Road, but they
Right.
moved to White Plains.
Which
They
I-
left behind a really
I'm-
nice plotter, and they
I'm
gave it to
wounded
us.
about their move, but those have been great guys and really a nice thing. Shout out to Arbin Group and County Fabricators. They are both on Marble Avenue, right next to the cemetery, and helping us out with the Park Bridge. And
The
to
Park Bridge is the culvert bridge that Jeff was
Right.
describing for us before. That's
Correct,
great.
and that's an opportunity to let people know that in the next several days, the formerly slightly rickety wooden bridge from the parking lot on the Henkel side of the fields over to the fields is going to be replaced with a brand-new concrete bridge with rails provided by Arbin and County Fabricators. So a big
that's
step
great.
forward, and if you come in the other direction, next to the field house to the new bathroom building, you will be coming in on brand-new smooth asphalt, which paves out to a circular plaza in front of the new restroom building. So little by little, we're making some really significant improvements down there, so happy news. And then lastly, this extraordinarily generous donation from Geraldine and James Stevenson for improvements of the war monuments.
Yeah,
How do you want to describe that?
Thank you.
I do. I received a call from the Stevensons. They are related to the Guyon family. And as you know, the Guyon family is, you know, for all intents and purposes, one of the founding families of Pleasantville, John Guyon being mayor for many years, and his father serving in World War I.
Right.
Several of the Guyon family members are on some of the memorials throughout the plaza. And the Stevensons had, after the passing of John Guyon, asked if they could do something that would celebrate the family's history here in Pleasantville. And I mentioned that we were in need of some restoration to the monument areas, and they just thought that was the perfect
That is great,
project for them to contribute toward.
especially ahead of Memorial Day like that.
So if you notice, the monuments had a bath
Yes.
recently.
They are beautiful.
Very nice.
They really
great.
look
They're great.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So that money is going toward part of that restoration effort.
Fantastic.
All in favor of receiving this largesse from these generous donors?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Colleen, 89.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the updated master fee schedule.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, you want to describe these changes?
Yeah, they are somewhat minor. I think the most significant involve building department fees.
Right.
At the recommendation of the building inspector, we had increased the fees for construction, for permits for certain construction, and that's essentially it. The rest of the fees follow form with every local law that requires fees. There are a number of them that require certain fees be paid. For example, advertising and signs, garbage and rubbish, noise control and the like. There's several permits required in other areas of the code.
Pool fees, stuff like that?
Yeah, and the board, yes, and the board also established a fee for the first time for blocking driveways.
Good.
We put that into the master fee schedule. We built that into our handheld parking ticket system, so
Okay.
they'll be able to issue tickets for that. There are no increases in the permits for parking lots, those are all the same. There are no increases in the registration fees for the pool. As you know, we actually reduced those to one fee, one single fee this year instead of an early bird and a subsequent fee. The consultant review fees stay the same, so you're only going to see a change, a substantive change in the fees for building permits, and that is because of the, just the cost of, doing business
Right.
on our end to inspect those projects.
Okay, any further questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. 90, Joe.
Whereas New York State law requires newly appointed police officers to complete an approved police training program, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees, now therefore be it resolved the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to sign the agreement with Westchester County for police training services as per the terms set forth in their agreement dated May 22nd, 2017.
Is there a second?
Second.
So as.
Thank you. Almost didn't happen.
I don't want to leave you
I
hanging
thought
out.
it was someone else.
Well,
Or
the other
Joe.
two,
Yeah.
you gotta share it.
Exactly. As reported in the resolution, if we hire a newly appointed officer off the civil service list who has not been a police officer before, they go through the basic training with the county, and this is our relationship to avail ourselves of those services if and when we need it. All
So
in
that-
favor?
Hold on, that's the academy?
Yes,
So that's the agreement that allows us to send that officer to the academy?
Correct.
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
As well as other stuff.
Sure.
Courses,
Right.
seminars,
Right.
conferences.
Primarily, we
Yes,
needed to get
yes.
off.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Nicole, 91.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the request from Holy Innocents to use a barbecue grill on Holy Innocents property, Tompkins Avenue, in conjunction with their recreation program for seniors to be held on Wednesday, June 7th, 2017, presumably.
Is there a second?
Second.
Happy to
Every year.
have this great thing, and
Can't we pass a
It's-
resolution? Can't we do
Okay.
a resolution that just says
They-
every year they
yeah.
can
Every year
do
they get
this?
to do this.
So-
Can't we do that?
the great news is that John Cullen is one of the outdoor barbecue cooks.
Oh, that's
I don't know if that's
fantastic.
John Cullen Senior or Junior, but
He'll bring a fire extinguisher.
both are exactly the guys you would want.
But refresh me
to-
why we need to do
manage
this.
anything.
That's a
like that.
residence. The priests live there. There's a residence. They can
Because
barbecue hamburgers if they want, like anybody else.
I don't know what the
Yeah, why
what
do we
is
have
the
to
what
do
is the rule there?
There is an open flame issue in a commercial zone.
Yeah.
And it's
Well-
because it's in a commercial area.
I trust these people to have an open flame. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. 92.
So I'm very happy to read this one. Whereas communities in Westchester County have studied the issue of disposition of excess edible food, and whereas annually 60 to 100 million tons of edible food are disposed of in the United States, primarily to landfills, while an estimated 50 million Americans, including 16 million children, do not have sufficient food to eat. And whereas the national humanitarian disgrace also has, or maybe you should say this, but also has adverse environmental consequences. Approximately 25% of the water used in the United States goes to produce food which ends up in landfills, and disposing of excess edible foods requires fossil fuels to transport and then creates methane emissions and greenhouse gas emissions when deposited in landfills. And whereas communities in Westchester have studied the law adopted by, I think, the Republic of France in 2016, requiring large supermarkets to make excess edible food available to feed the needy. And whereas in February, all 17 of the Westchester County legislatures signed a letter supporting the Excess Food Act, urging the state of New York to become the leader in this humanitarian and environmental effort. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Pleasantville hereby urges the New York State Legislature to support adoption of the Excess Food Act and directs the village clerk to forward a copy of this resolution to our New York State representatives.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mayor, can I make a motion to amend that?
Yeah, and how would you like to amend it?
I would like to make a motion to take out the phrase "the national humanitarian disgrace." I'm not in any position to judge any of that. I support this resolution, but I just don't think that has. We shouldn't be slapping people around.
Okay, so
slapping people in the
propose
face for it.
then
I
it
don't know
would
who
read-
wrote this, but it
Can you
wasn't me.
report how that paragraph would go?
I would just say
How about
that
this
this issue has adverse environmental consequences.
Okay, is
I'm-
that
I'm fine
acceptable
with
to the
that.
mover?
Absolutely. And
And the seconder?
Yes.
All right.
any other language?
So the alternative language is now what's on the table. A couple of weeks ago, Dave Juros, who's here tonight, part of the brain trust behind the extraordinary Pleasantville Community Garden on sunny side of St. John's Church, came and made a presentation about this and about the quite horrifying statistics. I won't call them a national disgrace.
It's terrible and it's horrible, but I just don't feel comfortable with having that in a resolution.
Yeah, that's
Horrifying statistics about the
It is, I
percentage
agree,
of American food which is wasted. Do I recall 40?
What,
So-
tons, you mean?
Yeah, but the percentage of American food that gets wasted, whatever.
David? 40%?
40%, I recall correctly. So Happy to think that folks like the Jeroses and the Community Garden have brought this to our attention, and that the county board is unanimously behind the idea, and that we would put our small shoulder among many on the wheel that rolls toward Albany. So
Actually, on that point, is it supposed to say Westchester County legislators?
I think it should say legislators, not legislatures.
Right?
It is, correct.
All right,
That's just a
that's a
typo.
typo,
in essence.
right? Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
And thank you, David,
Thank you.
for bringing this to us.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
It's terrific.
93, Colleen, you got the long one.
Okay, whereas the Pleasantville Village Board adopted a master plan update on January 9, 2017, and said master plan update was prepared in accordance with New York State Village Law and the State Environmental Quality Review Act, (SECRA). And whereas said master plan update provides a guide for land use and development decisions, the adoption of municipal regulations, and the investment of public funds for infrastructure, and includes a series of zoning recommendations pertaining to the village's downtown area. And whereas on January 27, 2017, the village directed its planning consultants, BFJ Planning, to initiate work drafting amendments to the Pleasantville zoning code to implement the downtown zoning recommendations to the master plan update. And whereas, concurrently with the work on the downtown zoning amendments, the village's building inspector compiled a list of technical revisions to the zoning code to clarify existing village-wide zoning provisions. And whereas BFJ met regularly with the village board to discuss the proposed zoning amendments and developed a set of draft amendments for the board's consideration that incorporate both the recommendations from the master plan update and the revisions suggested by the building inspector. And whereas the proposed zoning amendments are classified as a type 1 action under part 617.4B2 of the state SECRA. And whereas the village board directed BFJ to complete part 1 of a full environment assessment form pursuant to SECRA, and said EAF part 1 was submitted to the village board dated May 3, 2017. And whereas the village board is the only entity that has the legal jurisdiction to adopt changes to the village's zoning code. And whereas the proposed zoning revisions must be referred to the Westchester County Department of Planning for review. And whereas the village board must conduct a public hearing on the proposed zoning revisions. Whereas the village board accepted written comments on the master plan update for a period of 2 weeks after the close of the public hearing until December 5th, 2016. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pleasantville Village Board hereby declares itself as lead agency to coordinate the environmental review of the proposed action. The Pleasantville Village Board does hereby schedule a public hearing on the proposed action to be held at 8 p.m. This is June,
I'm going to suggest 26. Does that work?
I think that.
Yeah.
June 26th, 2017, at Pleasantville Village Hall. The Pleasantville Village Board directs that the draft zoning revisions be forwarded to the village's Planning Commission and the Westchester County Department of Planning for review and comment pursuant to New York State municipal law.
Is there a second?
Second.
June 26 is appropriate notice?
Yes,
Yes?
absolutely.
All right. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved.
And again, this is all contingent on you getting back comments from Westchester County Planning, which I'm sure you will get in a
Right.
timely basis.
Or we'll just have to reserve
Right.
the decision until we have a full
Right.
record.
We can move
We
it.
can have the hearing.
Yeah.
Right.
But you
Right.
can't act until you've
County
considered all
usually
of
acts
those comments.
quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the planning commission, I don't think will be a problem either.
Should not be.
All right. Thank you, Joel. Number 94,
Yeah,
Joe.
I need a moment because it wasn't clear the way it was presented on Novus. I need to pull it up on a PDF, and which I'm doing right now. Just give me a moment.
Oops, I just lost.
Yeah, it's broken on Novus, that one.
We're on 94?
I think it's 93. Is it budgeted?
Oh, I see.
No, it's
I'm
94.
almost
It's
there.
94.
I have 94 as well.
I've got it.
Okay.
It's page 109 of the PDF.
Right.
94.
It's cut off even on the
94
PDF.
Here.
Resolve that the Board of Trustees
You got
hereby...
it?
You got it?
You want to read it off? Right.
No, it's the same thing. It's cut off on the right-hand side. I don't know if I got all the numbers. It's
Oh, here.
on the left-hand side, it's cut off.
Oh, I see what you mean, the fund numbers.
I want to make sure I got everything right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget amendments from the general fund: $327 from administrative conference and training to mayor conference and training, $7,725 from general fund contingency to engineer contractual, $83 from general fund contingency to judgments and claims, $24,431 from general fund contingency to pool repair and maintenance, $5,031 from general fund contingency to library contractual for a total from the general fund of $37,597. And to increase revenue and expense on the general fund, $16,570 from revenue account street opening permits to expenditure account street light supplies, and $15,668 from revenue account Verizon PEG funds to PEG pass-through payment to PCTV for a total of $32,238 in that group.
Is there a second?
Second.
So Patty, these are all this fiscal year.
Yes, these are all this fiscal year. The increase is just to recognize some additional funding that came in through street opening permits that we are going to be using to upgrade our street lights to LED lights. And we did receive one of the PEG payments, the last PEG payment from Verizon, which was part of a $50,000 grant that we had gotten when we renewed their franchise years ago. So that money has to be passed through to PCTV. The others are all just to balance the budget, to rebalance the budget for certain accounts that needed additional funds.
Okay.
Current year.
Comments or questions?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. 95. Nicole.
Okay. Sorry, it's slow to pull up. All right. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following management confidential salaries. Superintendent of Public Works, $158,367. Village Treasurer, $153,712. Just thought maybe it would pull up, but Police Lieutenants, $146,963. Building Inspector, $110,250. Superintendent of Recreation, $103,650. Village Clerk, $100,178. Deputy Treasurer, $86,888. Court Clerk, $80,964. And Director of Senior Citizens, $71,572.
Is there a second?
Second.
This reflects an extended conversation we had at our last work session. Any comments or questions?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Aye.
approved.
I'm going to vote no.
Okay. So the resolution passed 4-1. 96, Steve.
There we go. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the appointment of William Durago, I hope I get that right, to the position of laborer at a salary of $53,434 effective June 5th, 2017. Said position is subject to a probationary period of not less than 12 weeks to a maximum of 52 weeks.
Is there a second?
Second.
Filling an open slot.
The newly created position, effective June 1 fiscal year. Yes, we're delighted to have the opportunity to bring Billy Durago to our workforce. He comes highly recommended from the town of Bedford. He's been working under Billy Heidepriem, who several people here know from working for the village, and we're looking forward to having him join the Department of Public Works.
So does this round out the two that we were looking to do there?
It does.
It does, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Joe, did you have? Is that-
No, that was kind of it. I'm just, this is a new position.
It is.
But we didn't eliminate any of it because we're increasing our workforce.
We're adding.
By one. The Department of Public Works will start to see some attrition in the next year or two, and it's a good idea to start thinking about bringing in some younger talent to.
So is it that if we lost somebody to attrition, we wouldn't need to hire somebody else? Assuming that the positions.
It depends
work right?
on where
Who and
other
when.
things fall right now, and who that person might be, what type of skills they may have.
We're also, as you know, in a circumstance where with Jeff as a PE, as a professional engineer on staff, some of the things we might have outsourced in the past are being done under his supervision in-house. So it's created some extra demands on the staff, and we'll see how this all plays out, but it feels like a responsible step to take.
I don't know. It's up to Jeff and Patty. I don't know.
All right.
I'm ready to approve it, but.
Okay. Welcome Billy Durago. All in
I
favor?
don't know.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. 112, Colleen.
112? No, 97.
I'm sorry, 97. I'm looking at
97.
page 112 of the PDF.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the minutes of the meetings held on April 24th and May 9th, 2017.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or questions on those two sets of minutes? Just an opportunity to remind everybody what we announced at the meeting of April 24th, and that is that the village has received a grant of a little more than $1,500,000 from New York State under the so-called TAP grant program. It's federal money that the state distributes. That will be used to finally execute the Manville Road street improvements that we've talked about at various points for a good long while, and have drawings that are stapled in the corner and pretty much shovel ready. There will be some issues that we'll want to revisit. Patty and I and Jeff Economer headed to Poughkeepsie on Thursday to find out how much red tape we have to cut through in order to receive $1,500,000.
Probably
But
Mary or Noreen, because they
Yeah.
have to deal with managing
Right.
that grant.
However much red tape there is, it'll be worth it, and I certainly would like to thank Senator Terrence Murphy and his office for the efforts they made on our behalf to support that grant. All in favor of these minutes?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
motion approved. Any new business or additions? All right, I realize there's one announcement that I failed to make at the outset, and that is we've received a notice from the Westchester Municipal Planning Federation that our recent master plan update has been honored with a commendation for outstanding planning achievement by WMPF, and that commendation will be presented at the Federation's annual award dinner on June 8th. So congratulations to all of us here at the Village of Pleasantville and to our prime consultants, BFJ Planning out of New York City, for the good work they did and for the recognition we've earned as a commended plan and outstanding planning achievement from Westchester Municipal Planning Federation. So anybody have anything new? Any further reports? There being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for your attention. We will see you in 3 weeks, June 12.